Our job is to report the news, not fabricate it. That's the government's job.
Right guys, just a quick video here, but it has to be made. I need to show you what Boris Johnson said in the House of Commons earlier in response to a Tory MP from Basildon talking about Sweden and the Tory MP Charles Walker tearing the government apart for its authoritarian rule of this country, and how we obviously need a written constitution that causes Boris Johnson to claim we want to get rid of the Rona more than we want our freedoms enshrined in law, which is obviously just lunacy. I'm pretty sure part of the Brexit decision was about us getting our freedoms and a constitution. I have heard many people talking about it before, let's be honest here. But you know what, just watch the madness because I am lost for words.
Sir Charles Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will not be supporting the government's legislation on Wednesday because as we drift further into an authoritarian, coercive state, the only legal mechanism left open to me is to vote against that legislation. That is all we've got left, Mr. Speaker. If my constituents protest, they get arrested. Given that the people of this country will never, ever forgive the political class for criminalising parents seeing children and children seeing parents, does the Prime Minister not agree with me? Now is the time for a written constitution that guarantees the fundamental rights of our constituents, a constitution underpinned and enforced by the Supreme Court.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think what the people of this country want, rather than delectable disputations on a written constitution, is to defeat the coronavirus. And that's why I think that overwhelmingly they understand the need for these measures, and they understand the need for us to come together as a country and get the R down in the way that we're proposing.
Now heading down to Basil and Billericay with John Barron. John Barron.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I commend the Prime Minister for his statement and will be supporting the government on Wednesday. We must prioritise saving lives wherever possible. But may I suggest the elderly should be allowed more leeway? Given Sweden recently removed shielding advice for its over 70s, concluding that the general risks to their health from loneliness and isolation outweigh those from the virus. What cost-benefit analysis has the government undertaken as to the balance of risks to public health and society from lockdown on the one hand and from the coronavirus on the other?
Mr. Speaker, we're not actually bringing back shielding, as I mentioned earlier on, that we do think the elderly need to take special steps to protect themselves. I just mentioned in connection with Sweden, Mr. Speaker, that actually the Swedish example is not quite the one, not quite the slam dunk that perhaps some people think. If you look at Sweden, they don't, for instance, allow pupils over 15 to get back into school, whereas we prioritise keeping our schools open, Mr. Speaker. And that's the balance that we strike the whole time. It's a balance between keeping our economy moving as far as we can, keeping our schools open, and defeating the virus. And that's what we're trying to do.
Well, there you see it, guys. His response to Charles Walker and the excuse for not following the Swedish model is literally on par with Joe Biden levels of brain farting. It is just incredible and disturbing that he actually thought that was a generally good retort to the Swedish approach, or that we would rather him fight the Rona over us wanting our freedoms to be part of the law so oppressive governments cannot rule over us. What a complete fucking idiot he is. And I have to ask everyone, when did the country actually vote in Joe Biden?
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors, slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going, and we are glad to be going. We're off.